Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome, how are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Today's video is called Unbreakable Habits to Keep Your Marriage Together. There are some habits you don't want to break, and you want to be consistent in doing them, so I want to give you some practical things that I have discovered over the last nearly 2 years plus that my wife and I have actually been together here in the United States that I believe are good for us. Now, I just want to train myself to treat my wife the same, to be very consistent whether we've had a good day or those occasional bad days. So I don't want to act nice just when things are going good. I want to be very consistent, and that way I think then that's a way of making her feel that my love for her, my feelings for her are genuine. They're not just there when things are going right. So here's just a rundown of some of the things that I can think of anyway. One is saying I love you every day before getting out of bed. Now my clock rings several times before I actually get out of bed. It's hard to wake up sometimes. But before I get out of bed, before one foot hits the floor, I always want to tell my wife that I love her. Now she'll be awake because of the clock ringing. So I want her to come to expect that. If I were to get out of bed and not say, I love you, sweetie, then, well, something would have to be off. And so I'm very, very consistent. And that's an easy one. Tell her, honey, I love you, you're special, you're so good to me, something like that, before letting go of her and getting out of bed. Now, of course, if you've had a disagreement, a strong disagreement the night before, it's not always easy to do that, but the point is to train yourself to be able to do this whether things are going good or not. Another one in the morning is to sneak back in bed for her for a few minutes. After I get things ready and ready to eat, I'll run back in there to the bedroom and crawl back in bed just to stroke her hair, her kiss her cheeks, her shoulders, just to tell her I love her, and snuggle up to her just a little bit more, and just a habit to let her know that if I'm away from her for even 15-20 minutes, I miss her. So another one is to tell her that I miss her, and that's something I do on Viber messages from work or on text messages. She is not much for using her email, so I have to use text or Viber, something like that. Pardon me for this cold or whatever it is I just started today. But it's important for me to tell her that I miss her. We did that a lot when we were communicating online before we got married, and that's something I want to keep doing even now. And then there's pet names that I have. I call her, my love, sweetie, sweetheart, precious, my precious, my baby, of course, honey bear, just things like this. I know that's silly, but I've never called her her name, and I certainly don't like her calling me mine, because if she says my name, then I'm usually in trouble. So I try to keep it with the pet names with her. Also, when we drive together, when we leave together, I pray for her for a certain distance. I like that one because it's important for her to know that I'm praying for her and with her. So while the car's warming up and maybe we get down a couple blocks or so to the main street, she knows that I'm praying for her, and that's just something I want to keep doing all the time when we are together. Now another one is, well, this is what used to happen before her hours changed, but when we had similar hours, we'd drive to work together, we'd always kiss each other goodbye before leaving the car, and our hours changed, so that's a habit we can't do anymore. Now here's one I need to do better at, and that is, since our hours are different by about 3.5 hours now at work, I need to do a better job of of coming up here and greeting my wife when she gets home. If I'm in the basement, I can hear the garage door open usually, and she likes it if I'm not, downstairs and doesn't see me for another hour after a 12-hour day of work that she puts in. So usually she starts cooking after that. So I've been doing better at this, and it's just something I have to train myself to expect of myself, and that's to get up and to be here when she walks in the door in the evening and give her a hug. Also, something she reminded me of that I never even thought of was to cook her rice when the rice cooker is empty. And it usually is after 3 or 4 days, so now I keep an eye on it. Like, I think it might be empty now, I can't tell. But if it is, then she leaves work about 6:30, and that's my time to start it up, put in the water and the rice so that when she gets home it's ready to go. It just tastes better that way. So that's another thing I keep an eye on. And a lot of the things to keep your marriage going is just simple acts of kindness. I guess some of these, it comes down to that. Another one, I clean my phone off, my screen. It gets dirty touching it all day with, especially when you're eating. I clean it with a little alcohol swab, so I'll go get her phones, tablets, whatever she's using, and clean that off as well. And so I think she appreciates that. Another one is I started wash and dry the clothes when she's working on weekends. I guess I'm kind of lazy. I just don't like doing these things. Never really did, but I have no choice. If she's working both days on the weekend, then I need to do that, and so I've learned to do that. So another one, wash the dishes for her. She gets home after a 12-hour day, cooks food, so I got to get those dishes washed, and that's just something. I'm as selfish as the next guy, and I might want to do something else at that time. So I kind of have to organize my time, so I'm up here when she gets here to greet her and also take care of the dishes, which I'm grateful for. She makes our food and prepares it and gets it all organized for us. Another one is sometimes I'm at work before she does on the weekend, so if she's going to get up at, let's say, almost 5 o'clock or 5:15, I'll get to work about 5, and I'll call her just to make sure that if she forgot to set her clock or Alexa, whatever she does for the time, then that way she's not late for work. Because here in the U.S. you need to be on time for work, and in the Philippines sometimes things move at people aren't quite so prompt, I guess. But here you need to be on time, so she doesn't want to be late, so I help her out that way. Another one is at work, there's certain points in the building that I pass, and I pray for her. It's just like an hourglass kind of thing. When it's empty, then you do something, kind of a reminder. So when I get to certain places, if I'm out that way, and I frequently am, then I pray for her. And there's certain types of prayers I pray, for her well-being, and to me, to love her, and I won't go into all of that. But the point is, when I get to a certain place, I'm already anticipating, okay, now I'm going to pray for my wife. And that makes it easier to pray. It's just finding a way, to do something that's good for her. And the last one I'll mention, and there may be more, this is the ones I thought about, is I need to be more consistent with praying for her before we go to sleep. Just because I'm a morning person and she isn't, doesn't mean we have to neglect that. I can always, pray with her, and then, she can continue doing what she's doing. But those are just habits that each of you can think of something to do, that it just becomes a repetition, a habit. If things are going good or things are not going good, you still want to be consistent and treat her the same way, and I think she will really appreciate that. So there are some good habits I have that I use for my love beyond the sea.